Hey guys, Dave Maxey here from homemusicstudio1.com. I thought I would do something a little bit different that I have yet to do, and that's just give you guys kind of a sneak behind the scenes peek at my home recording studio setup. And I want to just remind us that when I first started homemusicstudio1.com, I have one single focus in mind, and that is still the same. We're now approaching very shortly, just a few months away from being a year into doing this. And here's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to help you do the same thing that I've been able to do, and that is create professional audio on any size budget. And so I really wanted to do this because this is the reality of what I'm working with. You're not going to be seeing millions of dollars worth of gear. You're not going to be seeing a nice, finely primed, tuned up room with nice studio foam everywhere. You're not going to be seeing all sorts of amazing software and all sorts of, some things that look really cool from a distance, but when you get up close, they're really not that impressive. But I've been able to achieve some awesome, just amazing mixes in this setup that we have. And this is just going to be kind of an informational post, a little more brief about the gear that I have. And then I'm going to follow up with this and a little more of the process that I follow recording a song. And along the way, I'm going to let you take a little closer look at some of the gear that I have. And so right off the bat, I'm going to flip this camera around. So hang on. You'll notice right away as you look around this room, you see this wonderful brown, not studio foam, but paneling. See more lovely paneling. More paneling. I'm in the basement of my rental home, and you know what? This place has served its purpose, but one of these days I'd love to not have to live here anymore. And hopefully the landlord is not listening to this, but hey, it's a dump. But at any point, it's a roof over our heads. And for this time in this season, hey, we're thankful to have a place to live. But here we are, paneling, okay? Really not the best when it comes to sound. And here's why. The flatter the surface and the smoother the surface, the more reflections you usually get. And so sound, particularly from middle to higher range frequencies, tends to bounce when it hits a surface. And the more bouncing you get, the more echo, the more lots of funky things are going to happen when you try and record. So I've done a few things right here in front of my setup. As you can see, I've got my studio monitors there. I've got my my what used to be a Rode rig, my laptop, my desktop, and right behind there, I've done a quick addressing of all I had was just this, I think it's about $8. It's a nice wool blanket. But the idea with this wool blanket is there's a little bit of an air gap between there, probably about 3 inches. It's hanging off the wall a little bit, pushed off by kind of a 2x4 and some spacers that I have. And it just provides a little bit of breakup for the sound to not bounce as much. Now, it's not absorbing sound. It's not absorbing and, just swallowing up those low frequencies, but it is helping a little bit on the reflections that would happen. It kind of lessens that a little bit. This room has a drop ceiling in it with a couple of lights. And the drop ceiling tiles themselves are actually not a big major deal when it comes to sound reflection. They don't do too bad. There's a little bit of kind of R value and insulation value to them, but they've got a little coarse surface on them, so they don't really cause a lot of reflections. But you'll see behind me where I normally sit. I'm normally sitting right here doing my thing. And right behind me, I've got this little truss that I had. This was a little travel rig that I used to put some lighting and some things on. And I had a little setup for a TV there. But I've got a blanket hanging from that. And then behind that, you'll see, there's more paneling. Look at that. But you know what? And they even got a little piece of egg crate foam there, which again is just about not absorption really, but it's about breaking up a little bit of the reflections of this room. And you know what? This little blanket is mostly, even though it does help a little bit on the reflection side, it's mostly about a more of a solid color to hide the paneling behind me when I'm doing the recording of the video and those kinds of things. But that's kind of the general overview of the room. Again, I would normally sit here. I've got my keyboard there behind you, just to the left of me. I've got my rack, and I'll show you a few of my other toys as we move around the room here. First off, take a look here. I've got my laptop. And what this is setting on is this was a Rode rig made by these guys down here. You can Google them, DJK. That's the WM Plus is the model of this rack. I love this rack for a couple reasons. Number one, everything goes in there nice and neat, even though it's heavier than sin. The thing is able to hold a lot of gear in it and keep things nice and sturdy. But number two, it has this table that hooks off, the front side of it comes off, makes a nice little table. Really like that, and it makes for a nice little compact space for me to work with. And so you'll notice I've got my laptop right there, and then I've got a keyboard here. You see two, I guess they would be mice, computer mice. I don't know if that's proper or not, but then you'll see my other desktop monitor there. The actual computer is down there. You might be thinking, man, I don't have two machines. Well, pretty much the reason I have two computers is because of the podcast and the video and the demonstration. So what I do is I've got two audio interfaces. This guy over here is my Allen and Heath Z14. And nice little compact mixer, but it also has a USB out. You can kind of see that just a little bit down in there. That USB out lets you take a signal from either any of the aux sends on it. 14-channel mixer with two aux sends, and then two pre-sends and two post-sends on there, so a total of 4. So you can send any signal you want. Just it's got its own recording interface. You can send that to a computer. And so I'm using that right now. You'll see this recording going up and down. That's Sonar X2. You'll see my signal going there. That's me talking. Check that out. I've got my mic that I'm running right into the Allen and Heath, and then it's going into Sonar. And I'm using my desktop to record this signal. Normally, I have this set up exactly like this because I do the same thing, but I'll do a screen capture on my laptop. And what I actually run the majority of my recording with is on this laptop. And I use my most favorite audio interface, my Focusrite 2i2. And this laptop has got an i7 processor in it. It's got a terabyte hard drive and 8 gigs of RAM. And you know what? For a laptop, I have been able to run, close to 32 tracks with, effects all over the place, plugins all over the place, and without any dropouts whatsoever. For a laptop, it's been very impressive. I actually got it on a really good deal at Best Buy. And it's what I have right now. Probably the most expensive gear I have. Just to my right, you'll see my keyboard, which has a MIDI out on it. So this is a little more in depth than your average controller. This is the Korg SP170S. There's the model number. In the way of keyboards, it's got 88 keys on it. They're weighted. It's got a pretty decent piano sound on it, but it's not considered cream of the crop, okay? It's considered pretty plain Jane, pretty basic, and it doesn't have a MIDI in. It just has a MIDI out. I'll swing around the back here. But the MIDI out I use often, and so the only negative, it's only got 1/8-inch outs when it comes to the audio out. Those are dual stereo. This is kind of made more for like a student and a teacher, but you know what? The sound is great, and because it's got MIDI out, it triggers everything that I need to when it comes to my synths and building my drum tracks and all that. I'm happy with it. Moving around here, you see these are my Behringer. I got these guys. Someone gave them to me years ago, and they're still kicking. The Truth B2031s, and they're a powered speaker. And, I think that is an 8-inch woofer in there. I don't have the exact specs right off the top of my head, but they do pretty good. They've got some settings in the back to kind of tailor them a little bit for where they're at, and they are setting on my $3 stands from Home Depot. I bought me some piping, and that is a flange there for what you would normally use probably for a toilet in the floor. And I got me that and a can of paint. Cut them the size I needed so that they could sit on my bar stools and not actually be touching the countertop that I'm on, and painted them up so they look nice and pretty, and they blend in really good with the paneling. But you know what? Hey, it works. It's definitely what I have. And so again, creating professional audio on any size budget, and my budget wasn't much. But what that does is it gets these speakers up off the floor, and it also gets them so that they're not on the same surface that I am mixing on. And that to me is just a little more helpful because it doesn't accentuate the lower frequencies, therefore causing me to want to mix a little less lows because I'm feeling a little more. And so that's just a preference of mine. And then moving along, just the rack here, I'll show you a little bit of what I got in my rack, because there's really nothing in here. You'll see my headphones there. These are my Sennheisers, the HD280 Pros. Love these guys. I think they're somewhere around $90, nothing fancy, but they work great. And then I've got two DBX excuse me, these are the DBX 266 XLs, and most of the time I'm only using one of them. You'll see this guy right here going up and down because I'm typically recording when I do my voiceover stuff, my video stuff. I use the noise gate on that unit to kind of help block out my 5 kids that are usually upstairs making all sorts of racket. And so, hey, that's what that's there for. I don't do a whole lot of compression when I'm recording. Maybe just a tiny, tiny bit, a dB or so, just to make sure I'm not getting clipping. But what that is the mic I'm talking on right now, running into my Allen and Heath, and then I've got the the line insert there that is running down into the compressor, in and out again, and the compressor is just hitting this mic, and then the USB out is going on into my desktop there. So that's just so you know what we're recording with. From there, I've got my electric guitar. This guy right here is, as you can see, the famous build of the Fender Strata. If you think for a minute, some more popular guy, Eric Clapton and the Fender that he's got up there, and there's several different ones that he had. Well, this guitar right here is, well, it's absolutely nothing like what Eric Clapton has. This is probably cost me all of $150. It's a Squier Stratocaster, which honestly is not even really worthy to be called Stratocaster, but it is what I have. The reality is I traded some gear, and I was able to pick up this keyboard for right around $500, and for about another $150 this guitar, and it's what I have. You'll hear what kind of sound I'm able to get with it later on in these sessions. Over here, one last area I will show you is this is my array of microphones. This is everything I have, with exception of this little guy over here. This is not a mic. This is my Pod XT, and I got his big brother behind the curtain. The blanket here, you won't be able to see it, but I've got a same model, but the Pod XT Live in the floorboard version. So that's what I typically record all my electric stuff with. I also do have a few plugins on the computer for my DAW, which I'll talk about in later videos. In moving from right to left, I know I'm talking fast, guys, when I'm trying to get through all this in a short period of time. You'll see my, my little pop guard here. That is some kind of generic brand that I bought a while back. My only recommendation is if you get one that is metal, it'll probably last you longer. And I've used some metal ones before. Compared to this one, their operation is not too much different, in about a $20 range, but metal would certainly last longer, and they do basically the same thing in the way of getting your pop breath out of that microphone when you're recording. This guy down here is my all-expensive spider mount that I made on a little YouTube video tutorial that I found, and I use that with this ADK mic. Let me see if I can flip this guy over so you can see a little more. This is the A51. It is a large diaphragm condenser by Audio Deutschkraft. Back over there we go. ADK, probably the second most expensive mic that I own, and this was also a gift, and I usually use that in my homemade little spider mount there if I'm doing vocals. It does great on acoustic guitar, percussion instruments. It's got a nice little 100 cut on the inside. If you pull that, it's a more of a slope roll off on 100K. Got some really cool uses for it. The most expensive mic I own is this guy right here, and you're listening to me record on this right now, and so that's the Shure SM137. It does great on acoustic. As you can see, I'm doing some voiceover stuff, and if you get enough distance in there, it does great with that. Does great with percussion instruments, like getting a little close up on a cajon or something like that if you wanted. So a lot of use for it, and it happens to be what I have. See this guy down here? Everybody should know what that is, the Shure 58, and of course your 1980s breath guard that goes over top of that foam guard there. The only thing that would be missing from that would be the color orange or yellow or red from the 80s, but hey, it works. And then this is my MXL 990. That is the S. About $70, I believe, $79 or so. Came with the spider mount. And the nice hard case there. I added this guy here for about another $15 from Amazon, and I do use that for vocals and several of the demo stuff that I've done where I've shown you vocals, and I think one of the podcast episodes where I talk about vocal separation, all the vocals were done in the lead part with this mic right here, and so definitely has some great uses. very affordable. And if you know what you're doing and you can kind of tweak things a little bit, can get a lot of the job done. And with that, this is my whole setup. Nothing pretty, nothing fancy. Oh, I forgot that right there. That is, well, it's a treadmill. Okay. So as you can see, I've got, I think that's an ab lounge over there. These are both things that they have in common. They're both things that I never use, but they do happen to be down here in my room along with more paneling. And so this in general is the overall home recording studio setup that I am operating with. And so in future episodes here and in future posts, I'm going to begin to record a song using this gear, this equipment, and I'm going to show you every step of the way and to let you have a little sneak peek of what is going on and how we're getting this job done in order to achieve professional audio on any size budget. And with that, thanks guys for checking this out. Until next time, this is Dave Maxey with Home Music Studio One.